Today I thought we'd paint a galaxy reindeer. I painted one as a tester earlier today, and so that's what's right here. So I'm going to show you how to draw this shape, and then we'll paint in with some color. And I use something called masking fluid, which is like paint, but it's almost like liquid rubber. And I dotted it down everywhere you see a white dot here. I used a paintbrush and I put a little dot of masking fluid. I let it dry and then I painted on top. And when the paint was dry, then I used my finger, I see a little right here, used my finger and I rubbed that little bit of dried masking fluid off. And what it does is it protects the paper. It keeps the paint from sticking to the paper. So then when you use your finger and push all the masking fluid off, what's left is this white spot of clean paper. It kind of looks like stars. It looks like you could use it for snow. The way I usually do this is just to do the painting and then use white paint and make dots on top. But sometimes the white paint doesn't stay very bright white. So I tried masking fluid this time. If you happen to have masking fluid, you could give this a try. If you don't have it, it's about $10 on Amazon. Or you could look at an art supply store like Blick or, gosh, I bet Artists and Craftsmen has it. And you could order a bottle. It lasts forever as long as you keep the lid on, and you just use a little bit at a time. So that's the story on how to make these little white spots. Let me put that away and let's draw. I'm not going to use the masking fluid for our video today because I know that not everybody has it. So before we do our drawing, let's talk about supplies. I have watercolor paper. I have my old paint set here. I have some different sizes of brushes. For this one, we probably will only need kind of a medium brush and maybe a small brush. I have water. I have a little container of salt that's fun to sprinkle on. And a pencil. And I have a sponge, but we probably won't use it. So let's start. Push pause and grab those supplies if you don't have them. And then if you're ready, we're gonna move on. Let's start by drawing the shape of the reindeer. So the reindeer's head in this painting is pretty small. And then we'll have the ears and then these big antlers. And I think it's fun to let the antlers cross each other a little bit. Makes it look a little bit more realistic. And I tried to make them symmetrical, but in real life, they're not perfectly symmetrical, and it's very hard to do a drawing by hand and make it perfectly symmetrical. So I think it's kind of fun to have them a little bit different on either side. But what I did pay attention to is how many points there were on each side. And I wanted to make sure that was even. So each place where there's a tip of an antler is what I'm counting. So I have 6 of those on each side. So I'm gonna draw pretty dark so you can see. You certainly do not need to draw as dark as me. Let me make sure my whole paper's on. Okay, so I'm gonna make kind of a circle towards the bottom, and that's gonna be the head. The head's wider at the top than the bottom. So like its nose and mouth is down here, and that's a little pointier, but we'll deal with that later. And then there's some ears that come off the side. They go up a little bit and they're pointy and they come back in towards the head. So you could draw a couple ears. I'll make mine darker like I told you I was going to. The circle's a little wider at the top, kind of comes to a point for the nose, and then here's the ears. And the more alert the deer is, the more upright the ears will be. But to make these antlers really show and to have plenty of room, I'm gonna keep the ears kind of going straight across. Okay, and now I'm gonna draw a line swooping up from one side of the head and around the other side. I'm gonna make a couple of shorter antlers in here, and then they're gonna branch off And I'm gonna do, so that's 1, 2, 3 on each side so far. I'm gonna do, there's 4. And I'll do 5. This is almost like branches, isn't it? I'm gonna curve this one in a little bit more. That, and then I'm gonna put 6 out here. So to have some space to paint inside these antlers, we need to make them a little bit wider. So I'm gonna go around now and outline them. So I'll draw dark for you. They're a little bit pointy, but I'm not gonna make them super pointy. I'm just going around the edge here and down to where it meets another branch to make them 3-dimensional. And where they cross each other doesn't really matter, but it's all gonna get filled in with paint. Okay, let's make this one nice and wide. Okay, here. Okay, I'm gonna use my eraser and erase the places where there's pencil inside the outline of the antlers. Okay, now take a look at the shape you've drawn for your head. Remember, I did a lot of kind of sketchy lines here. I need to choose the line that I'm definitely going to use and make sure it's outlined. Okay, I think I'm ready. When you have your outline done, then we'll move on to painting. So as soon as, if you need to pause for a minute, please do that. If you're ready to move on, then let's do it. So I have very clean water, that's important, and a medium brush. And now what I'm gonna do is just paint inside the antlers with a little bit of water. This is gonna help all the color spread. As we put the galaxy colors in, they'll blend together and they'll spread everywhere that there is water. I'm gonna do one side of the antlers at a time because it's pretty warm inside right now. If I paint all of this with water, some of it will be dry before I have a chance to add the paint to it. So I think I have water everywhere now. So the colors I'm going to use, because I'm thinking of this as outer space and the galaxy, I'm gonna use blues and purples and just a little bit of black. I'll show you this again. You can see some places that are darker. I just put the tiniest bit of black because I really didn't want it to be super dark. But this is where you get to make your own choices. So I'll show you the way I'm thinking about doing it. You might want to use reds and oranges. Go for it. This is totally up to you. And this is just for fun. So I'm gonna start with this kind of darker blue. I'm just gonna put a little bit of it in and around some of these spots. And maybe some like pinkish purple. I'm trying to spread the colors out at first and not layer them on top of each other because they are gonna spread out and they are gonna find each other. and I want them to blend, but I don't want it to become a blended mess. I just want it to blend a little bit wherever they happen to run into each other. Okay, I'm thinking turquoise now in the in-betweens. So I'm going to put turquoise and force them to blend by putting turquoise between the purple and the blue. And it's not blending very much right now. I can tell my paper's already getting dry. I might have to add some water, or I might have to drag my brush around and force them to blend a little bit more. So I'm gonna right here, get just a little water on my brush and just add a little bit more. Okay. Are there any colors that I didn't use that I wanted to? I might try this real dark purpley blue. And now I'm going to use my brush with just the tiniest bit of black and just barely put black in a couple places. I'm going to use a little bit of salt, and I'm going to try hard not to get salt on anywhere over here that's still unpainted. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit where I can see some puddles of paint. And now I can't touch that area anymore. Let me feel. Did I get salt over here? A little bit. I'm going to brush it off. It's hard to paint in a area that has salt. So I'm going to brush that clean. Now I'm going to do the other side exact same way. And we're just going to keep doing this for the whole reindeer. So if you're faster than me and you want to get yours done more quickly, then you can just keep going. We're going to do the ears and the face, the reindeer head the same way. Okay, a little more salt. And now I'll get the face wet, and a little bit from the antlers will probably come down as I get close up there, and that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna do a little more salt here. Then we're gonna let it dry, and we'll come back and add some drops of snow. And I also think I'm going to do a few crisscrossing strings of Christmas lights in its antlers. So come on back for part 2 after your painting is dry.